So the first thing I just want to say is that it's hard for me to have two motion capture studios up at the same time while recording. My FPS drops a lot, so I'm just going to show you from the old animation my take on the differences and what I did wrong in my previous animation. So it's kind of funny looking back at this animation because it's so terribly bad. And the first thing I notice is the fact that he's bouncing up and down with minimal amount of ease in and ease outs on the up and down movement. So he's pretty much bouncing like a football. Yeah, with absolutely no ease in and ease outs, which looks really unnatural. Another thing I noticed right away when I compared the two animations was the fact that the counterbalance is also a lot off. For instance, if you take this position, the first thing I noticed was this upper spine was most of the time actually centered of the screen all the time, and instead it was mostly the hips doing the left and right movement. So for instance, if we have this position, we would move this spine a little bit to left, around here, center of the screen, and this hip would also move a little bit more to the left. When he lands, the hips are more to the left, and because he's currently standing on 2 feet, and the foot would also be a little bit more to the left, but that's another point. And when he pushes up, when he starts moving upwards, and only stands on the left foot, that's when the hips starts moving over to this side, so he doesn't lose the balance, because as he is right now, technically speaking, he would fall down this direction. So when he's pushing up, the hips move towards the foot he's standing on, and when he lands, he sways down to the center, again, and then he pushes up with the other foot or leg, and it goes up to this side. So that was one big difference I noticed. Another thing, the footwork is really bad. As you can see, the feet are sliding inwards, which is pretty bad. Me not like. But other than that, I think the legwork is probably the best parts of the entire animation. Not that it's anything to brag about, because it's pretty damn bad. The only other thing I truly notice is the fact that his legs is pointed out quite a bit. Maybe it should be a little bit more to the left. If we look from the right side, here you can also see him bouncing up and down a lot. It's hard to tell if he's actually sliding with the feet because it's not actually moving forward in the animation. But pose-wise, he never stretches his leg at all. It's barely, 90 degrees. So I don't like that. It also looks kind of awkward. And another thing is the fact that he's falling onto his feet. He never, places his feet. It's more like he's falling down in this area. And he does that with both of the feet. So that's pretty damn bad. Timing is way off. That pretty much explains why he's bouncing up and down like a football, because yeah. Pose-wise with the arms, I don't think this pose is good for a walking animation. I'd say having the arm this far back and this far ahead would probably work better with a power walking or maybe jogging. Yeah, power walking would probably be the correct pose for having the arms that far apart. And there's no ease in or ease outs on these arms either. If we look from the other side, which is easier to notice, here we go. Once the right arm reaches its maximum point, it goes straight back. It's like it's 100% speed up and it's 100% speed back again, which makes him look more robotic than human, biological. If I would correct this, I would have eased out and then eased in again. No, maybe it's the other way around. Either way, it doesn't look good at all. Another thing to notice is the fact that his spine is pretty straight. There's absolutely no movement. I don't think it needs a lot of movement, but it needs a little bit more, I think. So yeah, the hips, feet inwards, the ease in and ease outs are completely off, and I think that's about it. It's completely wrong. Easy as that. The thing I really like about the mocap animation is you don't get the perfect animation right off the bat, but you get a rough, really good rough animation. You still need to do those fix the animation so it actually loops perfectly, with the first and last keyframe being the same, and you also need to fix, some positioning of whatever, the hands, the feet, and whatnot. But it's completely worth it, because the hardest part of animating the human body, in my opinion, is the ease in and ease outs and the timings. And if you get the mocap animation right off the bat, you don't have to bother with it that much. So yeah, completely worth it. So that's it for me. Thank you, and good night.